Hey guys, Jess from Knockout Print Shop. Today I have for you my goal review, goal setting video for August/September 2020. So I'm going to approach this one slightly differently than in months past because I'm kind of hitting a point where I need to reassess goals and potentially change up slightly what I'm doing from a planner standpoint. And I also, again, wanted to hop into Inkwell, and while we're going through this, kind of show you how I would do this in Inkwell. So I got a lot of stuff to say. We're going to try to make this as concise as possible. Okay, so what I've realized is that we're heading into September of 2020. I've been doing really great with my goals so far. I've had a really good year. For me, I like the Makse Life system. There's been times, as you know, that I've said it's been overwhelming because there are so many areas of focus, and I've still made the system work for me. But what I've found is that sometimes the way my brain works is when I look at all these 8 categories, even after almost 9 months, I start to feel like my attention is in too many different places. And while I've made huge headway on my goals and feel very good about my progress, I think when I put my attention in too many spots, I don't get as far as I would like to, or I just feel scattered, if that makes sense. So as I was going through August, I kind of did my same old, and did well with my goals and habits, but started to think that I needed to tweak a little bit of what I'm doing. So this today is, I haven't even done I'm not even prepared for this video. I have not done my monthly reflection, but we're not gonna make this a reflection video. We're gonna make this like a goal assessment video. I do like the monthly reflection. As you know, if you've watched my previous videos, I use my daily highlights that I add to the bottom, as well as my kind of handcrafted what worked, didn't work, adjust, lessons, and gratitude that I do each week. That does work for me as a reminder when I'm doing my reflection. So I will use that to do this because, again, I haven't done it, but technically the month's not over. We're doing this on August 26th. So this is still yet to be done, but I have already started to prep and think ahead. So while this isn't done in paper, my brain is there. Okay, so my issue has been that my attention is all over the place when I'm setting goals. And when I sit down to set goals, I feel overwhelmed, even though I'm making progress when I reflect back on what I set for the whole year. And I find that every month I'm making this looks kind of scattered now that I've started it, my monthly goals, I make it more of a to-do list dashboard. So because I have not had goals, like no matter what, because I know Moxie has like stretch goals, maintenance goals, whatever, different types of goals, so that you don't feel like you have to put so much energy in each area, because it's just impossible to do like hardcore goals in every area. So even though, but basically, even though I haven't set like massive goals in each area, I've definitely used my monthly goals as more of a to-do dashboard. So at first I started to feel like, well, am I really utilizing this in a way that's effective and it's moving me forward? And then obviously, yes, because I'm setting goals. I set annual goals. I've reached, we bought our house. If I go back, we're going all over the place, peeps, today. My brain is going. We're just doing live, just thoughts, rambling, musings. So a lot of this is now, since we bought our house, I've started gardening, homesteading, like all of these things. Since we bought the house, that was a catalyst that made a lot of other things come into place. All of this stuff, a lot of the work-related things have gone, health stuff, all of these things have really been great. Like I've spent varying degrees of focus on them throughout the year, and they're moving along. But then I'm like, every month I'm finding in my monthly goals, like I'm writing down the same things. These seem repetitive. They seem more to-do related. They seem like this is a dashboard, just like a living dashboard every month to remind myself of my monthly tasks. So at first I was like, well, that seems silly. Is that even useful? Is that making the most of this goal page that I need to? My first thought was, no, I need to redirect some of my attention, kind of reassess where I'm at, and figure out if there's any missing pieces here that I'm not attending to. And then my second thought was, yeah, it actually does kind of work, because truly, in my opinion, you reach your goals based on creating the lifestyle and becoming the person that would embody that goal. So if you are on a health and fitness journey, you want to become a healthy person, you want to become an active person, you want to become an athlete. Well, that would involve creating a lifestyle, aka to-dos, daily tasks and habits that make you become that person. So this being a to-do list dashboard for me, instead of being like, well, that's stupid, I'm not maximizing this, is actually makes sense, because that is me building a lifestyle to achieve these goals. If I want to have where I'm sharing more and doing blogs and podcasting, what else am I going to put besides do my weekly podcast? So these things seem redundant, seem insignificant, don't seem grand enough, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense, because if I'm on a path to do, become, manifest something, again, I'm building a lifestyle that allows that to unfold. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. So I was kind of like approaching it from two ways. I was like, okay, at first I'm like, oh, I'm not doing this right. And then I'm like, wait, yes, I am. So we're there. But I also felt like I needed to give some attention and kind of do a little reassessment to see where I'm at with each area and make any tweaks that I needed to. So we're heading into the last month of quarter 3. I don't really pay attention to quarters that much from a goal standpoint, but I thought, well, this is a good time to check in, right? Okay, but whatever, it works. So what I did was I saw Katie Plans on Instagram sharing this on her Instagram story, this little like guide page that Makse Life had come up with on each area. This is in her Facebook group too. Just kind of like each area, what to consider, because sometimes when you look at these areas, they seem so broad. It's like, well, what is fun and recreation? What is personal? So what I did was, I was like, okay, I'm going to go in and put my usual stuff on the left-hand side. So weekly podcast, weekly vlog, my social posts, okay, these things. For work, stuff for the print shop, my weekly videos, okay, my weekly date, exercise, all my regular to-do-ish habits that are basically ingrained, but I just need a checklist. That's going to be on my left side. Then I took our little dividers and I kind of like haphazardly put them. And I'm like, I'm going to use the right side to kind of restate my focus, vision, intention, thought about that area, highlight the main points with the coordinating colors highlighter, and just kind of refocus and see. And how I came up with the right side was I went and looked at this worksheet, and I went through and kind of, there's all these terms, right? So personal, self-image, self-worth, self-love, confidence, happiness, peace, fulfillment, planning. So, and I just checked off the ones where I'm like, I feel good. Yep, that's fine. That doesn't, like I'm good there. That doesn't need my attention. So real quick, like not going to think too much about it. Check it off. If not that it's not irrelevant, but that I'm okay there. And I'm going to circle the areas, the things to consider in this box that, I feel like I'd like to give more attention to. So mental stimulation, hobbies, projects, creativity. That's an example for personal. For health, my health area is fine. The only thing would be rest. That was the only one I was like, oh, I need to get a little bit better at rest. So I went through each of these boxes and I did that activity, marking them off, or if there was totally irrelevant, like homeschool, I don't have kids, retirement, things like that, that didn't matter. I marked it off. So then I was like, okay, I did that really quick. And I like looked at what I picked, like what things I wanted to focus on or what things seemed relevant in these areas to consider, and summed it up with what makes sense for me. So hobbies, projects, creativity, sense of community, mental stimulation. That's the projects and hobbies I've been working on right now for personal have been the podcast and the vlog, like sharing my experience, my journey. This is something that's just for me, with our homestead, with just thoughts and musings. It allows me to be creative and all of that stuff. So I'm like, that's the focus for this. Okay. And then I went down and did that same thing for each of these boxes. And then I thought, okay, some of these, it was not surprising. The podcast and the vlog, family, just stay connected and enjoy quality time. Like the areas where I felt really good, like health and fitness for me is obviously, those of you that watch my videos, I'm a coach, all that stuff. So that's fine. So there were some areas I'm like, well, these things are automated. I'm good. I'm in maintenance mode. That's totally fine. What needs more attention? So then I was like, I think the one thing in this system, Makse Life, or really truly any system, I think is we get wrapped up in like attending to all of these areas. And even the areas that are in maintenance mode, I get like, it's still good to give them attention. But I think it's important, and maybe this is in this system and I've just missed it, to spend some time figuring out prioritization. Like truly which of these areas needs your attention, and where are you willing and prepared to, in what area prepared to give your attention. So for me right now, it's physical environment. It's our homestead, gardening, making our house a home, building our homestead, raising our chickens, getting more animals, all of that. That is our priority. It bleeds over into finance because for a while we were saving for our home. Now we're investing in our homestead. So what really needs my most attention right now are these. The rest of these, I've got them on a routine. They're good. They don't take as much attention. A lot of this is automated, all of that stuff. So I think that's super important as you go through, whether you're doing the Makse assessment, if you're doing something with Inkwell, that you go through this process, whatever your process is, you see what areas maybe lagging behind, lacking, need some attention, and then also see which ones are your priority and which ones you're willing to give attention. And here's why I say that. Being a coach, a health and wellness life coach, whatever, I've worked with a lot of people whose focus is obviously health and wellness. There's many people that needs to be a focus, right? Their health isn't where it needs to be. They need to improve their health. Your health not being where it needs to be and your willingness to give it attention and prioritize it are not always the same thing, right? It may need attention, but where's your willingness on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you really willing to give it 100%? If you're not, that's okay. Figure out how much you are willing to give and know that that's going to dictate your results. And is it a priority? You may say, well, health and wellness is a priority, but your time and attention is going to the other areas. Well, that's, what is it? Where our time, goes is truly what's important to us or what's a priority to us. This is not about judgment or not about any of that, saying what you're doing is wrong or what any of us are doing is wrong and where we're spending our attention. It's just being honest with ourselves and trying to figure out what we truly need, what we're willing to do, and what's the most important. And everybody's going to be different. So even if your health needs help or your finances need help, but you're not in a space where you're willing to dive into it, you could set goals till you're blue in the face here, but you're not going to invest the mental energy, right? You're going to be in all these other areas. So I am on a just ramble today. Every video I filmed today, I'm like, I just wanted to this is an epiphany I had for myself, and I wanted to share that with everybody, that when you're setting goals, I think there's multiple things to consider regardless of the system. And don't negate the fact that even if an area needs attention, your willingness to give it attention needs to be assessed as well, because if your true willingness is not high, no goal setting in the world is going to move you forward. And that's okay. You might not be ready to dive into that. You may need to approach it from another angle. There's all different ways to kind of get to where you want to be, but we have to be really honest about where we are and what we're willing to do and how important something is to us in order to really start mobilizing it and making progress. Okay. I think that makes sense. I need to do a podcast on this for my Just podcast. But this is the process I went to because I was like, gosh, I need to give all these areas attention. This should be important. I really ranked low in the beginning of the year on fun and recreation. I should, that was the keyword that I kept coming to. Like, oh, that's an indicator that I'm kind of have expectations here that I should be spending more time on fun and recreation. I was like, well, wait a second. Maybe just because I don't go on vacations and I don't take time off doesn't mean I don't have joy in my life. And now that we have our home, so much of my joy comes from being outside, being with our dogs, being with our chickens, building our home. So many of these things are intertwined that I'm like, I'm sick of beating myself up that my fun and recreation is low, when truly it's intertwined with home and it's intertwined with wellness. And this is all weaving together. And yes, I don't take time off in vacations, but that's not bad. Like, I don't need to, that's okay. So how can I reframe this? I hope this is making sense. I'm talking about a few different things at one time, but so that's kind of where I was at. So I, again, kind of thought about which areas I scored myself high when I did the assessment, where I'm at now, what of these things made sense to me to consider, what areas I circled and needed some attention. And then from those areas kind of focused, okay, health, time for rest, work, there's a few things, financial. And so what I did is I took my rough notes in this little, assessment, reassessment, prioritization, check-in thing that I made that. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to write kind of an intention statement. So again, for personal, freely share my journey and thoughts through podcasting and vlogging. So that was the thing, is this is an expressive creativity thing for me, a hobby, a project. And that happens through podcasting and vlogging, which I'm doing weekly. So this is good. I don't feel this area needs any other attention than what I'm currently giving it. I'm not trying to build my podcast to 1 million followers or anything like that. It's more just a thing for me. So I'm good there. Fun and recreation, build community and joy into my life. This is, we moved, we're meeting our neighbors. This is already happening. And again, the joy of my life now is just enjoying our home. So that's like things that it manifests itself, or it comes alive in action steps, like moving our chickens to the chicken coop and out of the brooder, going to the local farmer's market to meet people in the community, stuff like that, stuff that's easy and already part of my life. That is what's fun to me. I don't need to be like, well, I'm not doing fun enough stuff. Work, build skills and share knowledge, and just, this is now with the remote work I'm doing. It's been so enjoyable to like learn new skills, build new skills, see actually where my skills are and using them in a new way. And so that's manifested, obviously there's some work tasks that are relevant to that, like, doing our September discount email for those of you on our mailing list, filming my weekly videos. But there's a certification I want to research and things like that. So this needs a little bit of attention, but not a ton. Family, this is one that in relationships is okay in my life. I feel good about it. Just stay connected and enjoy quality time. My family's coming to visit for my 40th. Matt and I always go on our weekly date. This doesn't need a ton of attention. It's good. Health and wellness, I stated, balanced training and nutrition, consistency with time for rest. So my exercise and nutrition situation have been consistently right where I want them for a long time. But the one thing that I sometimes neglect is rest, not from a sleep standpoint. I get really good sleep, that's fine, but just from a stopping and resting and enjoying things, which kind of goes, there's a lot of overlap here. So I was like, okay, make time for a weekly chill time. The other day, Matt and I went and we literally sat in our chicken area watching the chickens and just hung out. Just making time for that, just mental rest. Spirituality, spend time in nature and explore spirituality. This is something that needs a little more attention because it's something that's been like in the back of my mind for a while. And if you've watched my videos, you know that. But then I was like, you know what? I do spend a lot of time in nature. Now we have a house where we can go into nature right out our front door. So I realized, oh, my weekly reflection I do, that's a personal growth spirituality thing. And then kind of, again, weekly outdoor time, whether that's we take the dogs out or I love going outside just like in the garden, like weeding. I know it's weird, but I like to weed. I just like the quiet and being in the dirt. I'm weird. So there's just these little things I was already doing that I'm like, this is already part of my process. I need to stop making this so complicated. And then research, Bible study, or sometimes spirituality study. I have been reaching out to different people that have given me a lot of ideas here, and I just need to sit down with it and research it. I'm in research phase. Financial, invest in making our home ours and the homestead art of our dreams, invest in our future. So right now, as I've talked about before, we're spending our extra money, we budget, do all of that stuff. That all of these tasks are, our budget, our bills, that is all automated. Finances are good. All of those things are fine. But now we're taking the excess money or a little bit of extra and we're investing it into the homestead and just remembering the importance of that. And then a physical environment, make our house a home one step at a time. And this has been the biggest one, just again, making our house indoor and out our home. Okay, so this all to say that goals can be incredibly overwhelming when you're looking at every area of your life, and I think sometimes this works for people to like be in all of these areas and always be attending to them. But I think some people, like myself, do better when we hone in on a few things and let the other things kind of be in maintenance mode and really figure out where our priorities and willingness is. Okay, let's move then into my Inkwell. So I wanted to wrap this video up. That's long now with the Inkwell, and I've talked about this a little bit in the last video about my kind of aha moment about using Inkwell and their consolidated monthly mission board and having, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I add the business one, but 6 areas versus 8, and they're just kind of different words, different terms here. So personal to me is similar to personal here. Home, I would just say for us, I'm going to make this more of an intention statement, and I'm going to say continue to build our homestead. Now, the reason I'm not making this very like super task oriented is then I will go back and have more of a list like I do here in Makse Life of what that means. Okay, we need to build our fence, do things like that. So this is more of a guiding intention statement that will become action steps later. I don't want to use this little space to start listing out things. I want this to be more of just like a guiding principle. Okay, and then social to me is relationship, social, whatever. And I'm going to say here for social, because that kind of goes along with like the family and the relationships, like stay connected and quality time. And then building community, I'm going to say connect with community and family, because I can't talk and write this at the same time. Just staying in touch with my family now that we live further away, and then they're coming to visit, and then also continuing to get to know our neighbors and our community. So this will look like my family coming to visit. It'll look like going to one of the new farmers markets that we just found out in our local town, going to a Labor Day party with our neighborhood, stuff like that. So that's social. Okay, for work, it's going to be, we'll say build skills. And I'm just going to say the same thing, share knowledge. So again, this is going to look like looking into a certification and just building my skills and growing in the new work that I'm doing. So the task will look different here. The business, this is one that's not necessarily, it is on the Makse, but I'm going to say here, what am I going to say for business? Let's see. Continue. Let's see. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm totally stuck. I hate being stuck and being like silent when I'm on video. This is why I don't do stuff like this on video. Continue growing. We'll say continue growing business. And that can look like working on our email stuff, building landing pages, stuff like that. I need to dive a little bit more into that for September. That's something I have yet to do. Money will be investing in homestead. There's a few tasks that you need to do, like money-wise, for this month, but this will sum up the majority of that. And it, again, is just a focusing statement. This will be make time for rest. So you can use, your goals however you want, but sometimes having like an intention statement is good to kind of focus your actions. And personal, I'm going to say, let's see, we can sum up like spiritual, personal growth. Let's see. Share journey, I'm going to say, and reflect. So that's how I would approach my goal or mission board in Inkwell Press for September based on what I did in Makse. And if I were to continue using this planner into September, I would then go in each week, use probably, I think I used it in here as an example one of the days, maybe that was in July. Use our weekly action steps and then take each of these things and then break it down. Okay, so this week, what am I going to do based on these areas? And it may be good because of the way I approached this with a more general intention statement. So somewhere, maybe like on the back page and a note page, to list out what I think some of the action steps that need to be done for this week are. So I think that's the difference. For me, the way I approach Inkwell is more general. Here, this can be, because you have so much space, more detailed, and it can serve, at least for me, as a goal, intention statement, plus to-do list and action steps. Okay, I think that makes sense. Okay, video almost over. I literally just filled up the memory card, so I don't even know where it stopped. We'll do the best to wrap this up. But basically, I just wanted to kind of show you my new process for goal setting and some thoughts on goal setting and reassessing, and then another kind of wrap up comparison between Inkwell and Makse. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much more because I think I'm just getting really repetitive as usual, but both systems are great. I think each system can work for different people, and I think you can actually make both of these work together. You can maybe use this whole big, 2-page goal setting page, do kind of what I did, sum it up in your September, in your monthly mission board, and then if you want to continue on using Inkwell for your weekly or whatever. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking. I think that was helpful. Let me know if you have questions. What do you think about this kind of everything I said about goals and different perspectives and reassessing and all that? Let me know if you have questions. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one.